Okay, so we're in the final set of routines for the deep joint rotations. So we're going to do the shoulder and the arm work from supine position. So the first thing we're going to do some joint mobilizations for the shoulder and maybe a bit for the elbow. So I'm going to cup his hand between your two hands like this. Let me just put your hand right there. So I'm going to cup his hand between my two hands. I'm going to lift his elbow up off the table. I'm going to bring his arm towards the side like this. I'm going to swing his arm side to side just to loosen up his shoulders. This is called the pendulum swing as well. So I'm just going to shake his elbow up and down off the table. So make sure his elbow is off the table when you're doing this. You're just kind of doing some movement of the shoulder. Okay. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do some passive range of motion now. So the first thing we do is called the backstroke. So I'm just going to grab his wrist with my one hand. I'm going to just bring his arm towards the opposite side, over his head, towards the same side of the table, down to the legs, to the opposite side, up over his head. Just get some movement like that. Yeah. Okay, so the first torsional stretch we're going to do so bring his arm up, doing that passive range of motion. I'm going to have his elbow facing up towards the ceiling. I'm going to place my hand on the outside of his elbow. I'm going to place my other hand on the inside of his wrist. I'm going to apply a torsional stretch, a rotational stretch. I'm going to bring his elbow towards his opposite side. Any problems with the shoulder? No? Okay. I'm going to keep on bringing his elbow up over his head, bringing it as close to his head as comfortable. Just let go. Yeah. Bring it over his head, bringing his elbow down towards the table like that. So it might be better if you bring your head close towards the table, end of the table. So come up a bit towards me. Yeah, so just have his head closest to the end of the table as you can. Okay, so pressing on the outside of his elbow towards the opposite side of the body. And then his wrist, you pull his wrist outwards towards the same side of the table. So you have that torsional stretch. And then you're going to bring his elbow up over his face. And keep on going down so his elbow is actually, his biceps is actually on the table. As far as you can. When you've gone as far as you can, you're going to straighten his arm up. So you're going to pull his wrist so his hand is straight up like that. And bring it, maintaining that tension, bring his arm back to the side of the table, and then position your hand on his outside of his elbow and on the inside of his wrist. You're going to repeat that. So once his elbow is up towards the ceiling, you're going to pull outward with your hand that's on the inside of his wrist, creating that torsional stretch. Bringing his elbow over his face, and then continuing down so his elbow is going towards the table. And then once you've gone as far as you can, you're going to pull on his wrist, straighten his arm out, and then bring it down to the side like that. Okay, so now we're going to go the other direction now. So we're going to do some passive range of motion in the other direction. So grabbing his wrist, going to pull his arm out to the side, up over his head, over his face towards his opposite side, and this is called the front stroke. So the other one we were doing, the first one was called the backstroke. just like the swimming backstroke. So this time we're doing the front stroke. So bringing an arm out to the side, up over the head, towards the opposite side. Just like that. Then I'm going to continue on. So I'm going to bring the arm up so that the armpit's at a 90-degree angle and the elbow's at a 90-degree angle. We're going to continue going on up over the head. And then as his elbow's over his face, we're going to position, we're going to place our one hand on the outside of his elbow, another hand on the inside of his wrist. And we're going to create a torsional stretch. We're going to push the elbow towards the opposite side while maintaining pressure on the inside of the wrist. So coming down, creating a stretch. And then as we come down to the chest, we're going to straighten the arm out. And we're going to push the arm towards the opposite side. So we're going to do this by placing the other hand under the scapula. And we're going to pull the scapula out and up as we're pushing the hand down towards the opposite leg, like that. Just hold it there. Okay, just to repeat that. So from this position, you're going to bring the arm up over the head. Position your hand on the outside of his elbow, the other hand is on the inside of his wrist. Create that torsional stretch, pushing his elbow towards the opposite side, continuing down until his elbow is over his chest, and then you're going to change your hand position on the wrist, and you're going to pull the wrist down towards the opposite foot, and then you're going to place your hand under the scapula, the other hand, and pull the scapula outwards and upwards as you're pushing his hand down towards his opposite foot. Okay.